Something that I appreciated way more than I initially realized when playing Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum as a kid was the presence of these unique Pokemon trainers who would join you as a companion during a few of the game's dungeons. There are 5 characters who can join you in this way: Cheryl, Mira, Riley, Marley, and Buck. Each of them all have their own identities and missions, entirely independent of your own, but you happen to be in the same place at the same time, so you decide to do a little adventuring together to make the trip a little nicer. They do heal your Pokemon as you go along, but they're also definitely more than just mindless helpers that save you from backtracking. On paper, they do also serve to make certain areas of the game double battle centric rather than the usual single, and that's a change that can make these battles and areas more challenging. But there's clearly so much more to these characters beyond their basic functionality. All of them have unique designs and sprites, a bit of their own backstory and some lore on the side, and they all have a special partner Pokemon that they take into battles with you while you're traveling. With everything put together, it just makes for a super cool inclusion. You mix up the gameplay a little bit, and then you get to hang out with another trainer of interest who's just living in this world with you. And I'd have to say, they're all pretty awesome. Especially Riley. That's a man who just knows style. But that case is true with all 5 of them. They've got that main character look and feel, but they're also just kinda there. And that really got me thinking, just who are these characters? Sure, they're each given relatively serviceable characterizations during your time with them, and we can start off here by briefly going over those bios. Cheryl is a kind and supportive traveler who's heard rumors about Team Galactic and wants your help getting through Eterna Forest. Mira is a young but strong trainer lost in Wayward Cave who could use a guide getting out. Riley is an aura-sensitive protector of sorts who's training on Iron Island, and he's a good friend of the gym leader Byron. Marley is a shy adventurer looking for Shaman because it can help her show gratitude beyond words, something she struggles with. And then finally, Buck is a hotshot treasure hunter trying to make it through Stark Mountain, and he also happens to be brothers with the Elite Four member Flint. So we've got a little substance there. All that is well and good, a little background for our lovely companions. Case closed. But if you'll humor me here for a bit, I want to consider my question in a deeper sense. Who are these characters in the context of the story at large? How could we describe their purpose in these games compared to that of other major characters like your rival or the professor, for example? For what reason were they included at all? They're definitely not just randoms or nobodies like the stock trainers that fill out most of the normal routes, and I'd describe the interactions with this group as mostly warm and cooperative, but there's definitely still at least a minor element of competition in the mix, especially when they have their full teams. More on that bit later. They're not really rivals, but I wouldn't say you spend enough time with them or associated enough to really call them close friends either. They break the mold in a lot of ways. Meeting up with them at all is entirely optional for the majority of them. You're only required to group up with Cheryl in Eterna Forest in Diamond, Pearl, and BDSP, and then Buck is a mandatory component of dealing with Team Galactic and Platinum's postgame, on top of the meeting with Cheryl. So with it most requiring 2 out of 5 of these meetups, the games are indicating here to an extent that these encounters aren't vital the same way as ones with other story characters are. But in spite of that, I find that there's a unique importance garnered in that lack. As with all their circumstances in mind, the encounters with the 5 companions feel a lot like passing ships. Like you're briefly meeting with a protagonist of a story just adjacent to your own. You find them already in the middle of doing something when you meet them, and they see you and they invite you along for a journey. It's like you just stumbled into their story out from your own. And then those designs also go a long way here, as they look fitting for the title of gym leader or rival. But they're just other random trainers on their own journey that seems to be relatively similar to your own. I find these characters to be incredibly important for these reasons, as they go a long ways towards making this world feel lived in by other people like you, and the game resultantly feels a lot more real because of it. Unfortunately, this categorization leaves these trainers a little bit hard to describe simply. I know I definitely didn't know what to call them before looking into all of this. They don't seem to have a ton in common besides the shared partner role, but they're also so unusually unique, so I'd hate to refer to them in such a generic way when they have so much going on. Fan term for this group, and the one that happens to be on their Bulbapedia, refers to them as the stat trainers, because that unifying thing that they do have in common is each of their respective teams consist of Pokemon representative of a specific battle stat. So kind of like the gym leaders here in this way, except for types, they specialize in and master stat-specific Pokemon and style. Cheryl is HP, Riley is attack, Mira is special attack, Marley is speed, and then for some reason Buck gets 2, where he's defense and special defense. This little detail surrounding the group went way over my head at first when I was playing the games, mainly because they've just got that one Pokemon when you run into them, but true to their nature as these hidden other protagonists, there's a lot more than initially meets the eye here. Once you've completed your journey around Sinnoh and beaten the Elite Four, you'll find any of the stat trainers that you met up with before in the multi-battle room of the Battle Tower, available to reprise their role as your tag team partner for a climb to the top. Just like you, they've also journeyed long and far and come with an arsenal of new Pokemon reflective of their expertise. The format here is 4v4 battles, where you and one of the partners each bring 2 Pokemon. Each of the partners now have a relatively large pool of Pokemon reflective of their specialty that they pick from, and these pools are even further expanded in Platinum, Heart Gold, and Soul Silver. The Battle Tower is actually the only place that you can find them at all in the Johto remakes, but awesome hidden gems like this are just business as usual for those games. As partners, their stat-themed teams definitely make some of them easier to work with than others. Like Cheryl and Buck can be very difficult to partner with because their archetypes revolve around support and tankiness, while Riley and Mira can offer up some really useful, powerful sweepers. It all goes to service their identity as characters. Just like you, they've come a really long way since you met up that one time. And also just like you, they're packing full and vibrant teams reflective of that journey. I love that they make an appearance here like this. In this world, the Battle Tower is the perfect place to reunite with people of interest you met along your journey. It's like a crossroads for trainers trying to get stronger. So it's really cool to get here and be able to have a moment with these other characters like, hey, I remember you, want to team up for old time's sake? It reinforces that insinuation that other trainers are getting better and stepping up to challenges just like you are. It flows into this idea that in this story, maybe you're not the only protagonist out there. It's another tiny detail that breathes even more life into these amazing games. I remember getting here as a kid in Pearl and being so excited to team up with good old Riley, thinking he was just going to start swinging with Lucario like we did at Iron Island. But when I saw the awesome team that he had brought in, I almost felt like I was falling behind in a way. Someone I had been keeping pace with had this strong of a setup, made me want to go improve on my own. Seeing the stat trainers at the Battle Tower in Diamond and Pearl puts a nice cap on your relationship with them. But Platinum, like it often does, gives you a little bit more once everything is said and done. After taking care of Team Galactic at Stark Mountain and effectively completing the postgame, Buck will invite you over to his house at the nearby survival area. You can check this place out at any point beforehand, but the door is locked and says members only on the door, leaving you with only the desperate hope that someday you too can become a member of this unknown organization. But folks, we are in luck, because that day is today. As a result of all your great works, Buck gives you membership to his VIP club, the Battleground. It's a place reserved only for the toughest trainers who are itching for more battles, and you usually have to get introduced by a gym leader if you aren't one yourself. Gym leaders love hanging out at the Battleground. But in addition to the gym leaders, our old partners, the stat trainers, are here too, and are ready to battle, because of course they are. Why else would I be talking about this place if they didn't? Seeing them at the Battle Tower was a nice ending, but seeing them here is a beautiful ending to your time with them. For one, you finally get to actually battle them one-on-one with full teams while they're present at the club, and you can see the full extent of their stat specialties here. These trainers have honed their specific style of battling, and we finally get to see it at their apex. Getting the chance to go head-to-head with them is a pretty sweet conclusion just by itself, but I also think it says a lot that they're here at all if what Buck says about membership is true. All 5 of them probably have all of the gym badges, are well acquainted with at least one of the gym leaders, and they've journeyed the Sinnoh region. If they're anything like you, which they clearly seem to be, they've most likely been on their own awesome, incredible Pokemon adventure. Now you all get to meet back up at another crossroads for strong trainers. You're just catching another glimpse of some of the other protagonists in this world with you. Not only do you have those initial chance encounters with them, but you also get to see and share in the results of everyone's hard work. You're not the only one out here. This world is filled with other vibrant individuals chasing strength just like you are. These trainers are so important because they lack a series-tested title. They're a strong and awesome showing in some of the depth this world has to offer. These unusual and sometimes forgotten trainers are the unsung heroes of Gen 4 Pokemon. That's all I got for you folks. Hope you enjoyed this one. What are your thoughts on these characters? Any memories you've had with them? Who's your favorite? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching if you made it this far. I'll see you next time. Droomish, out.